The 19th time William handed me the breakup settlement. I agreed. The girl he cherished most was demanding a title, and she couldn't wait any longer. I couldn't wait either. I was pregnant, and the baby wasn't his. After signing the agreement, I immediately took a picture and sent it to William. It's signed. Should I have your assistant, Mark, come pick it up? 20 minutes passed in silence. William's chat window was as quiet as a graveyard. Just as I was about to call a city courier, I saw William standing at my door, slightly out of breath. He had actually come himself. It made sense. His little lover had been kicking up a citywide storm for half a year to secure her position. It seemed he was truly desperate. Speak. What tricks are you trying to pull now? I've given you everything you're owed, not a penny less. His voice was cold, laced with impatience. 3 years ago, William gave me a wedding. From then on, I became his wife in name only. I was with him through it all, from being broke and destitute to achieving success and fame. But for the last 6 months, had been fixated on how to get rid of me, all to make room for that little canary of his. He had already revised the property division agreement to its 19th version. Previously, I had been unsatisfied with all of them. This time, I obediently signed it, which only made him suspicious. I gave a small laugh and handed him the agreement. He opened it warily. When he saw my signature, his face darkened. Emma, you really agreed? I looked at him strangely. He used to say the thing he hated most was my immaturity and my pointless jealousy. Now that I wasn't fighting or crying, taking the money and leaving as he wished, why did he seem even more upset? Surely he didn't expect me to break down in tears and beg him to stay. I smiled slightly. Isn't this better? You can marry Bella openly, and I can start planning my own life again. This agreement included the house, cars, and company shares. He had really paid a hefty price. I accepted it all without hesitation. After all, I was the one who had walked with him through all those years of obscurity. Who would willingly do all the hard work just for someone else to reap the rewards? Now, everything was settled. The assets I had earned myself over the years, plus what he was giving me. Even if I started traveling the world tomorrow, it would be enough to live lavishly for the rest of my life. Love was gone. But thankfully, I still had a lot of money. Hearing my words, William's expression grew complicated, as if he wanted to say something but couldn't. Just then, a sweet, soft female voice interrupted us. Emma, thank you for being willing to let us be together. It was Bella, the canary William kept perched on the tip of his heart. She was a phoenix who flew out of some backwater town, with an ordinary university degree. It was already an achievement for her to get into the highly competitive William Corporation. Yet, in just 3 months, she became the secretary in the CEO's office. She was very hardworking when it came to seducing William. William said she was pure and kind, and he was always worried I would bully her. But what kind of pure and kind person sleeps with a married man and sends photos of them in bed to his wife? I used to be unable to let it go. I cried and threw terrible fits. I even exposed them online in a fit of rage. The next day, not a trace of it remained. William's methods were always swift and clean. The irony was that one day, he would use those same methods on me. After all this drama, I was just tired. I looked at the two of them with a faint smile, not wanting to say another word. You have the agreement, aren't you leaving? I told them to go. This villa was in my name. Since William started seeing other women frequently, he had rarely come back here. Every extra second they stayed made me want to disinfect the entire house. William's face fell. Playing hard to get won't work on me. Emma, since you dared to sign it, don't you regret it? With that, he pulled Bella towards the door. Wait. I called out to William. He turned back, a just as I thought expression on his face. He probably thought I couldn't bear to let him go. But all I said was a reminder. Don't forget to transfer the money soon. And get the properties transferred to my name as quickly as possible. His expression went blank for a second. Then he ground out through his teeth. You're certainly in a hurry. In a hurry. How could I not be? I was pregnant, and it wasn't his. If I didn't part ways with him soon, things would get messy. I had scheduled a prenatal checkup. I never expected to run into William and Bella at the hospital. He was holding her hand so carefully. Bella chattered away, and he listened patiently, his eyes full of gentle affection. They were so intimate it felt like no third person could ever fit between them. Memories flooded back. A long time ago. He had treasured me just like that. So long ago. The last time he looked at me with those eyes was when I had my miscarriage. I was 4 months pregnant then. He had found his first mistress. She was a fearless girl who stormed up to my door and demanded I make way for her. I called her shameless, but she retorted that the one who isn't loved is the real mistress. Perhaps her pride was deeply wounded, because she gave me a hard shove. And just like that, the baby was gone. I was covered in blood and rushed into the operating room. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was William's guilt-ridden face. His eyes were full of remorse. He held my hand tightly, choking with sobs. "I'm sorry, Emma. I'm a bastard. Hit me, please." "I'm so sorry." I slapped him hard across the face. He didn't flinch, just took it. When I was tired of hitting him, he finally spoke, his voice raw. "Just this once, Emma. Give me a chance to make it up to you, please. We'll have other children." He got rid of that girl. He went back to being a considerate lover. Unfortunately, it only lasted for a short 6 months. After that, a new girl appeared by his side. And then another. And another. Their young, delicate faces changed so often I couldn't remember them before they were replaced. Bella was the one who had stayed with him the longest. Running into them at the OB/GYN department was truly awkward. I turned to leave, but Bella's voice stopped me. "Emma, what a coincidence." She was clinging to William like a limpet, her cheeks flushed with a shy glow. "I'm pregnant. Here for a checkup." I watched her performance with a blank expression. William saw the registration slip in my hand and frowned. "What are you here for?" I gave a cold smile. "Mr. William, in front of your new flame, it's best not to be too curious about your ex-wife's private matters." He seemed agitated. He actually pushed Bella aside and grabbed my wrist. "Emma, I am your man. You show up at an OB/GYN clinic. I have the right to ask." I stared at him, my tone dripping with ridicule. "My man, Mr. William, are you sure about that? We may have had a wedding ceremony, but in the marriage registry system, I've always been listed as single." William froze, as if suddenly remembering something, and his eyes grew darker. "Yes, that wedding was so romantic and grand. To the outside world, I was his one and only wife, especially with our business and assets so intertwined over the years. But who would have known? We had never actually been to the city hall. Every time I urged William to get our marriage license, he either had a meeting to attend or a business trip abroad. His time was always so precious that in 3 whole years, he couldn't spare even half an hour to get a marriage certificate with me. Yet, when it came time to break up, we tore each other apart over money and assets, making our fallout public knowledge. His grip on my wrist was painful, but he wouldn't let go. Thankfully, the queuing system called my name just then. "Patient Emma, please proceed to consulting room 5. William reluctantly released my hand. I immediately walked past him and Bella, entered the room, and locked the door behind me. I completely ignored William's thunderous expression. The doctor reviewed my test results carefully and gave me some instructions. She also told me to bring the baby's father next time. "He's dead." The words were like a clap of thunder. The doctor, who had been focused on typing my records, looked up quickly, her eyes filled with sympathy. She told me to take care and offered her condolences. I managed a suitably sorrowful expression. Perhaps it was the early stage of pregnancy, but I was feeling very sleepy. After returning from the hospital, I slept for a long time, in a daze. I had many dreams. At first, I was a fresh college graduate. It was right when William's family went bankrupt, and he was living on the streets. We were crammed into a tiny rental. He held me, wrapping me in his down jacket, pulling me close to his heart. "Emma, when I have money, I'll make sure you never suffer again. I'll hire at least 5 people, one to cook for you, one to do your laundry, one to make your bed." His heart beat powerfully against my ear. His sweet words made me blush, and I naively believed his love could conquer all. Later, he did make a comeback, becoming successful and famous. But the number of people around him grew as well. They came and went, just like William's fleeting love. The dream ended with a trashed room, shattered porcelain on the floor, and me, my feet bleeding, crying hysterically. He watched my breakdown without a flicker of emotion, his voice flat. "Emma, you look really pathetic like this. In that moment, I looked at him. The person I had loved so deeply in my youth had suddenly rotted. When I woke up, it was already dark. I was disoriented and tried to get up. A sudden voice made me jump. I heard, "You're carrying my child and telling everyone I'm dead." I flinched and looked towards the voice. There, by the French windows, a man was watching me. The moonlight cast a silvery sheen on his dark suit. The room was unlit. He was hidden in the shadows. If he hadn't spoken, I wouldn't have noticed him. "Arthur, are you trying to scare me to death? You've gone too far." My words made Arthur laugh. He walked to the bedside and pulled me into his arms. His warmth seeped through my thin pajamas, his hand gently rubbing the small of my back. When he spoke again, his voice was full of exasperation. "Who's the one who's gone too far?" "Emma. First, you sleep with me and run. Now, you're trying to run away with my child." Arthur had guessed right. My plan was to take the child and settle down in a small town, far away from William, and far away from Arthur. After all, my relationship with him didn't start in the most honorable way. It was 3 months ago. On my birthday, William had offered to celebrate with me one last time before we split, for good luck, so we could part on good terms. He booked a restaurant early, a window seat with a panoramic view of the city at night. He picked me up from home, acting as if nothing had ever changed between us. He presented me with a cake and lit the candles himself. "Make a wish." At his urging, I closed my eyes with mixed feelings and silently wished. My wishes. It was perhaps 10 seconds. When I opened my eyes again, the seat across from me was empty. I was bewildered. William was gone. I waited for a while longer, but he didn't return. Finally, a waiter came to inform me, "Mr. William took a call and left just now. He said to tell you to please finish your meal and you can leave. He's taken care of the bill for today." I watched the candles on the cake burn down, the frosting slowly melting. The words "Happy Birthday" became an ugly red smudge. Finally, I let out a mocking laugh. After leaving the restaurant, I took a taxi to the harbor. When we were poor and couldn't afford to travel, William always liked to take me for walks by the harbor. He'd say that if we couldn't see new sights, at least we could feel the sea breeze. Later, the sea was still the same sea, but the person had long since changed. I wandered aimlessly for a long time, until someone beside me gasped, "Wow, that's so romantic." I followed their gaze to the night sky over the sea. Against the dark canvas, countless drones twinkled. They formed romantic cursive letters. "Bella, I love you." A few seconds later, the sky bloomed with countless fireworks. Dazzling. Beautiful. Onlookers sighed. "My gosh, which rich air is making a declaration of love now." Sigh. Just another day of being a background character in the world. Almost masochistically, I opened my social media. Sure enough, I saw Bella's gloating post. "True love is when he can give me a grand confession any time I say I miss him." The accompanying picture was of the drone display. When a person's heart dies completely, they probably become no different from a madman. I bought a lot of alcohol and started drinking. There were too many people by the sea. William and Bella were surrounded by unknowing passers-by, completely oblivious to me. But I watched them for a very long time, until I realized I was surrounded by empty bottles and my vision was starting to blur. Realizing it was a bad idea to drink anymore, I got up and staggered away. I finally left the bustling harbor and was walking along the road when I bumped into someone. "Careful," he said, steadying me by my arm. I straightened up and saw who it was. Arthur, a titan of industry, heir to the Heston Group. We had some business dealings over the years. In fact, I owed almost 2/3 of my net worth to his support. He was the complete opposite of William, with virtually no women around him. People in our circle joked about him being gay. He never denied it. "Emma." He held me, frowning. "Why have you had so much to drink?" He smelled nice, very clean, unlike William, who always smelled of Bella's perfume. "Arthur, they all say you like men. Is it true?" For some reason, I just blurted it out. My tongue felt a little numb, probably from the alcohol. Arthur was taken aback for a moment, then sighed helplessly and carefully guided me into his Rolls-Royce. Perhaps it was because I found him very attractive. Perhaps the alcohol had clouded my judgment. Or perhaps I just wanted to get back at William in some twisted way. I silently moved closer to Arthur and planted a kiss on his cheek. He turned, looking at me in shock. His pupils dilated for a split second. His cool, pale skin was tinged with a faint, warm blush. The next second, with a surge of audacity, I climbed onto his lap. Arthur, do you want to try with me? We were so close my lips brushed against his earlobe. It was surprisingly soft, so I kissed it. His ear grew warm. His voice, a little hoarse, came from above my head. Emma, sober up. I laughed. I am sober. I know you men all like them young and pretty. A simple "I'm tired of you" is enough to dismiss a woman. A heat rose within me, and I instinctively leaned towards something cooler. He frowned, his eyes dark and unreadable. I tilted my head back for another kiss. This time, he didn't pull away. His lips were cool, with a crisp minty scent. It was nice. As the kiss deepened, I felt like I was running out of air. But he held the back of my head with one hand and my waist with the other, forcing me to continue. The partition in the car rose silently, sealing us in a private space. He finally released me, his voice even hoarser than before. Emma, I don't like men. And I don't like them young. His reaction time was so slow. We'd already kissed. Why bring that up now? The alcohol hadn't made me black out, but my mind was definitely foggy. Before I could figure it out, Arthur had started the car. It wasn't long before we arrived. Arthur lifted me out of the back seat in his arms. He carried me through the villa's living room, quickly up the stairs into the bedroom, and gently placed me on the bed. He stood over me, looking down. My eyes were fixed on his lips. The lips I had just kissed were moist and glistening, a little swollen, very red. My gaze drifted lower. He had unbuttoned the top 2 buttons of his shirt. His collarbones were exposed, making him look like a seductive male siren. He curled his lips into a slight smile, took my hand, and guided it under his shirt. Emma, do you want this? Yes, I do. Having received a satisfactory answer, Arthur leaned down and kissed my lips. Unlike the previous times, this kiss was deep, heavy, as if unleashing his intense possessiveness. His fiery kisses traveled downwards. Emma, do you like it? My face felt like it was on fire. All I could do was cling to him tightly. At first, I bit my lip, refusing to answer, but I eventually surrendered to his advances. I buried my face in the crook of his neck and whimpered, I like it. He kissed me, satisfied. Finally, I fell into a deep sleep in his arms. When I woke up the next day, he was gone. I understood what that meant. He was probably someone who didn't like complications. Perfect. I didn't like them either. Since he had left, I had to pretend nothing had happened. It was better for both of us. So I slipped away. I also blocked all his contact information to avoid any future awkwardness. As for our business dealings, I would just have my subordinates handle them from now on. Strictly professional. I hadn't seen Arthur since, until a few days ago, when my period was late. I belatedly remembered. I don't think I took a morning after pill. I secretly bought a pregnancy test. I tested 5 times, and every single time, it showed 2 lines. I was completely baffled. After my miscarriage, the doctor told me it would be difficult for me to get pregnant again. What happened to difficult? How did Arthur manage it in one go? I was at a loss. Logically, Arthur had a right to know. But thinking back to his attitude that day, I wasn't sure. To be safe, I said nothing, planning only to quickly separate from William and then make arrangements for my child and me. Unfortunately, before I could sort everything out, Arthur found me. Emma, why did you block me? His lips were against my ear, his voice cool, but warm breath escaped with his words. Don't tell me. You regretted it after sleeping with me. His attitude stunned me. I never thought he would care so much about me blocking him. To avoid further misunderstanding, I decided to be clear. Arthur, we're both adults. I initiated it that night, so I accept the consequences. You were able to track me to the hospital, so you should know. I'm definitely keeping the baby. I have money. I can handle raising a child on my own. It won't be a burden to you. If you're really worried, we can sign a confidentiality agreement. Arthur, who had been kissing my earlobe, suddenly froze. His voice became even lower. On your own. What if the child asks about their father? What if they want to see a picture of their father? I had thought this through carefully too. It'll tell the child his father is dead. We can use AI to composite a photo. As for the cause of death, Well, say it was a car crash. If you're not satisfied with that, you can make up a more dignified death for yourself. Of course. If you want to see the kid in the future, that's fine too. Just have them call you uncle. Arthur frowned at first, but by the end, he was so angry he laughed. Call you uncle? Emma, what on earth do you take me for? I was speechless, unsure what he meant. I had even planned out his escape route. Why wasn't he satisfied? Arthur, I just don't want to trouble you too much. After all, you left pretty decisively that day. As I spoke, I watched his expression, considering other possibilities. Could it be that now that he knew I was pregnant, he had changed his mind and wanted to fight me for custody? I saw Arthur take several deep breaths before speaking again, this time with a tone of resignation. I don't see you as trouble. I was slightly taken aback. A ridiculous new theory began to form in my mind. Arthur looked at me, his eyes incredibly deep, and began to explain seriously. That day, there was a problem with my project at the French branch office. I had to go deal with it personally. I left you a note, asking you to wait for me to come back. So, you didn't see it at all. A note. I certainly hadn't seen one. In this age of technology, why would he write a note? Besides, I was too busy feeling awkward and wanting to escape to even think about checking the bedside table for a note. Arthur continued his indictment. When I tried to contact you again, I found you had blocked all my contact information. Emma, in your eyes, am I someone you have to hide? I gave an awkward laugh. That's a bit of an exaggeration. But we can't just get married after sleeping together once, can we? He lowered his gaze and asked in return. Why not? My eyes widened in disbelief. Are you serious? Arthur, do you like children that much? Arthur's gaze was profound. He stared at me for a long time, a hint of weariness in his eyes, before his deep voice finally sounded. Just assume it's because I like children. Of course. I didn't agree to Arthur's proposal. It was too absurd. My relationship with William, which went from mutual support to mutual disdain, had dragged on for so many years without a happy ending. I wasn't about to carelessly jump into another cage. Arthur didn't push me. He just watched as I unblocked him on all my apps. He also said I had to let him know when my next prenatal appointment was. I frowned. Is that really necessary? I wasn't sure if it was my imagination, but his smile seemed to have a hint of gritted teeth behind it. Didn't you say I like children? How could someone who likes children let you go to a prenatal checkup alone? Fine. I would respect his rights as the biological father. Besides, he was my cash cow in business. I had to give him some face. From then on, Arthur started to take an interest in my diet and daily life, and he would buy baby supplies. Once, on a business trip to Europe, he personally brought back a custom-made, handcrafted baby crib. The crib was stuffed with all sorts of diapers, formula, and baby lotion. He seemed genuinely excited for the baby's arrival. Gradually, over time, I got used to it, until the auction half a month later. When I entered with Arthur, we ran into William. Bella was clinging to William's arm, her eyes filled with unconcealed triumph. It had been a while. When William saw me standing next to Arthur, he was visibly stunned for a moment. He opened his mouth, as if to say something to me, but Bella didn't give him the chance. Darling, I'm a little tired. Can you sit with me over there? As she left, she didn't forget to look back and give me a mocking smile. I ignored her. Being pregnant, I needed to stay as far away from such sources of nausea as possible. The items at this auction were rather mediocre, and I wasn't very interested, until I saw a necklace. The piece was beautiful, a design I had admired for years, but had never been able to acquire. The starting bid was 800,000. I was the first to raise my paddle. Not to be outdone, Bella followed, raising the price continuously after me. 1 million. 1.5 million. Finally, William raised his paddle. 3 million. He knew perfectly well how long I had wanted that necklace. Yet, he still chose to fight me for it, just to give it to Bella. I glanced in their direction and met Bella's triumphant gaze. I knew she probably didn't even like it that much. She just didn't want to see me happy. 3 million. Going once. 3 million. Going twice. I didn't raise my paddle again. Arthur squeezed my hand, about to raise the bid. 5 mil. Before he could finish, I quickly pressed his hand down. 5 what? Are you crazy? He looked a little innocent. 5 million isn't that expensive. Don't you really like it? I scoffed. Of course it's expensive. You've just never been poor. Only those who have truly been poor know that 5 million is a huge amount of money. When a person hits rock bottom, they might risk their life for 500, let alone 5 million. But this was a concept that the sheltered Arthur would likely never understand. I shook my head. Don't fight for it. I don't like losing propositions. The 3 million William offered is already far beyond the necklace's actual value. If he wants to be the sucker, let him. Anyway, William had already signed the property division agreement. The money he was spending now was from his own share. 3 million wasn't a fortune, but every little bit adds up. I hoped he would spend himself into poverty. 3 million. Going 3 times. Sold. The auctioneer's gavel fell, sealing the deal. Afterwards, the crowd began to file out. Bella deliberately walked over to me, her voice dripping with condescension. Emma, are you mad? It's all William's fault. He just had to get it for me because I liked it. I can let you take a look if you want. William, standing beside her, watched this silently. He really did spoil Bella, allowing her to provoke me time and time again. I curled my lips. No need. I didn't like it that much anyway. If you like it, it's all yours. After all, anything you set your sights on can't be all that good, can it? I gave a meaningful glance at William beside her, his face visibly darkened by several shades. Emma, how did you become like this? He said, annoyed. It's just a necklace. Is it worth being so caustic? I can buy you another one later if it's that important. I looked up, stunned for a moment, then stared at him. No, thank you. Like you said, it's just a necklace. I don't need one. William choked for a second, as if he finally remembered. I was a jewelry designer. The seed money for his first company had come from me selling the rights to my own designs for $1 million. He had held me then, his eyes red, promising he would buy me mountains of jewelry in the future. In the end, all he ever gave me was a very ordinary ring. I was his girlfriend for 4 years and his wife for 3. He had bought my most precious 7 years with a tiny diamond. Promises are only sincere in the moment they are made, and sincerity is a fickle thing. In the end, when love runs its course, all that's left is one's conscience. Now, he had his company, and I had my own career. My jewelry brand was already world-renowned. I could buy whatever I liked. I didn't need him anymore. William seemed to be lost in memories of the past. When he looked at me again, his eyes held a flicker of guilt and longing. Just then, Arthur's tall frame moved between us, completely blocking William's view of me. His voice was lazy but dripping with sarcasm. Mr. William, it's been a few years. I wasn't aware your standards had dropped so low. As he spoke, Arthur glanced dismissively at Bella. Bella managed to hold back an outburst, but her face was contorted with suppressed rage. I had no desire to watch any longer. Arthur, let's go. My public use of his name seemed to please him. He smiled. All right, I thought that would be the end of it, that I would finally have some peace. But, unexpectedly, William suddenly went back on his word. I have a habit of putting my phone on silent when I sleep. When I woke up that day, the screen showed over 30 missed calls and 99 messages on WhatsApp. All from William. Emma, we need to talk. I'm coming to find you. No one's home. Where are you? That day at the hospital. What were you really there for? Are you pregnant? If you're pregnant, I can agree not to break up. If you don't answer, I'll wait at your door. Emma, why weren't you home all night? Why did you even fire the maids? Because I had already moved out. That house held traces of his life. I couldn't breathe there, so I sold it. When Arthur found out, as the child's father, he kindly provided an island villa, complete with a private doctor and nurses. The island was beautiful with a pleasant climate, perfect for a pregnancy. I didn't refuse. Only a fool would refuse such an offer. Since Arthur wanted to enjoy the rights of being a father, he naturally had to be willing to spend. It's called an equal exchange. Arthur and I had gradually developed this kind of understanding. As for William, according to the agreement, there were still many assets he hadn't transferred to me. How could he possibly back out now? I immediately called him back. William's voice came through the receiver, tired and a little hoarse. Emma, I asked the former maids. They said they noticed you were taking prenatal medication. If it's true, we don't have to break up. My patience suddenly ran out. When your luck is bad, even taking medicine gets you spied on by maids who then tattle. Fortunately, I knew the truth would come out eventually. So I was prepared. Before William could finish, I cut him off cruelly. I am pregnant. But William, whoever said the baby was yours, there was a long silence on the other end of the line. I could almost hear William's ragged breathing. After a while, he finally asked coldly, Emma, what do you mean? When William finally tracked me down, I was playing with Sunny. Sunny was a little golden retriever Arthur had adopted for me. Afraid I'd get bored. She was gentle and friendly. Her favorite thing was to lie at my feet and bask in the sun. When William saw me, he froze. You're really here? If I remember correctly, all the properties here are under the Heston family name. He stared intently at my belly, as if trying to burn a hole through me. When did you? I tilted my head and smiled, telling him, remember my birthday, the night you left halfway through to give Bella that drone confession. William's eyes widened in disbelief. Finally, his voice trembled as he spat out, Emma, we weren't even separated, and you were already cheating on me. In his eyes, it seemed I was the one who had made the mistake, the betrayer who deserved to be condemned. I couldn't help but laugh mockingly. I asked him in return, and what about all those years when your mistresses came and went like a revolving door? When you were sleeping with Bella and got her pregnant, did you ever think about me? He knew he was in the wrong and couldn't argue. He stood there for a long time before finally saying reluctantly, Emma, get rid of the baby. Well, stop fighting. I'll go with you to the city hall. We'll get our license, get married, and live a good life. How about it? I laughed so hard I thought I was going crazy. I stared into his eyes. Get rid of it. Do you think that's possible? I had a miscarriage. The doctor said it would be hard for me to have another child. Do you remember why I had that miscarriage? What right do you have to decide the fate of my child? His body swayed, and a flash of pain crossed his eyes. Fine. Then you can have it. When you've recovered, we can have a child of our own. Okay. I felt like I was listening to the world's biggest joke. I couldn't help but look at him as if he were insane. Do you hear yourself right now? His eyes were red as he made his final concession. Emma, for you, I can accept this child as my own. Just then, a low sneer came from nearby. It was Arthur. He loosened the top button of his shirt and spoke, his voice lazy but full of scorn. You want my child to call you Dad? You, William, are you worthy? The atmosphere instantly became charged. The moment William saw Arthur, it was like a nerve had been struck. He lunged forward like a madman. Arthur, it was you. Unfortunately, he didn't get to brawl with Arthur as he wished. The villa's security guards stopped him. He seemed to have forgotten whose house this was. William's eyes were bloodshot as he struggled against the guards, trying to fight Arthur. But reality was harsh. A guard casually shoved him, and he fell to the floor in a pathetic heap. Arthur, meanwhile, simply sat on the sofa with his legs crossed, watching him with a frosty, expressionless face. Are you going to get out on your own? Or should I have my men throw you out? I was a little surprised. Despite his high status, Arthur was always praised for his good manners, even with business rivals. I had never seen him lose his composure and humiliate someone. This was the first time I had seen him so angry. William had come alone. Despite his unwillingness, he was helpless. He looked defeated as he staggered to his feet and handed me a box. I didn't open it. A blue velvet box. I could guess what it was. It was the necklace Bella had snatched away. The one I had longed for. He lowered his head and told me, Emma, at the auction that day, I didn't really want to take what you liked. I wanted you to get jealous, to come and give in to me. I got the necklace back for you. It'll make Bella get an abortion. You love this necklace, don't you? Let's get back together. Okay. Yes. I used to love it so much. He knew that. Yet he still helped Bella use it to slap me in the face. He also knew that every time I cried and fought with him, I was dying inside. Yet he hurt me again and again. I said flatly, I don't like it anymore. Not the necklace. And not you. I don't like any of it anymore. William's face went pale. Emma, please stop being so stubborn. Can you really bear to leave me? I found it laughable. He was the one who had hurt me the most. Why was he now acting like the victim? I looked at his slightly red eyes, pulled my sleeve from his grasp, and said seriously, William, you destroyed everything with your own hands. If we're going to break up, let's make it a clean break. Don't make me lose the last bit of respect I have for you. 3 days later, William and I completed the final asset transfer at the notary's office. William looked incredibly haggard, with dark circles under his eyes, clearly having not slept well. But now, whether his life was good or bad had nothing to do with me anymore. As we parted ways, William seemed to want to say something, but before he could, Bella suddenly appeared. The usual gentle facade was gone from her face, replaced by anger and resentment. William, she's already carrying someone else's child. Why are you still giving her so much? I thought you were just giving her a settlement, but you even transferred that $80 million villa to her. Have you thought about me and the baby in my belly at all? I frowned slightly. Bella probably didn't know that what William gave me wasn't just a simple breakup fee. Every business deal he made, every dollar he earned, had my share in it. Without me back then, there would be no him today. I was just getting what I deserved. Besides, Bella was being too impatient. William was the type of person whose love came on strong but was also short-lived. Shedding her gentle wife persona so quickly was not a good move. Emma, don't you dare take advantage. Bella screamed accusations at me, rushing forward recklessly. That's enough, William roared, stopping her. Will you ever stop? Don't embarrass yourself here. Bella froze at his shout, her eyes instantly turning red. She threw her designer bag at him. Embarrass myself? How could you yell at me? You've already broken up with her. Are you still trying to protect her? A crowd of onlookers was gathering. William's expression grew more and more annoyed, and he finally exploded. Even if I don't marry Emma, I will never marry you. Bella was completely stunned by his outburst. A second later, as if realizing something, she chased after him with a panicked expression, trying to take his hand. But William's face was impassive. He forcefully shoved her away. Get away from me. The accident happened in that instant. Bella always loved to dress up. Even after getting pregnant, she continued to wear her delicate high heels. She liked using them to show off William's affection for her. But William's shove made her lose her footing. She tumbled down several steps. She lay on the ground, pale-faced, clutching her stomach and crying for help. My baby? William. My stomach hurts so much. William panicked at the sight, his face a ghastly color. About 4 or 5 seconds later, bright red blood began to flow from between Bella's legs. My heart clenched. A long time ago, my baby with William was lost just like that. Was this fate? A fickle, heartless person is destined to have weak family ties. Or perhaps, the baby could sense even in the womb that it was not loved by its father. And so, it left in sorrow. The world may be a wonderful place, but it no longer wanted to come. After Bella's chaotic scene, news of my situation with Arthur eventually reached the ears of the Heston family. The next day, Arthur's grandfather ordered him back to the family estate. He also specifically requested to see me. In the car, I was understandably nervous. Arthur reassured me that his grandfather was very easy to talk to. I believed him, but from the moment we walked in, the old man's brow was furrowed. Though he was 80 and needed a cane, his face was stern, carrying the natural authority of a leader. He squinted his eyes. His tone brooks no argument. Kneel. The commanding voice echoed through the hall. Without a word, Arthur took off his suit jacket and knelt down, stray-backed. I, standing behind him, flinched. Did this mean I had to kneel too? I was completely bewildered. But when the Heston patriarch saw me, his attitude did a complete 180. He walked towards me with a kind, benevolent smile. My dear girl, don't be nervous. Come, sit down. Grandpa isn't a bad person. Grandpa just wants to help you teach this brat who bullied you a lesson. You just sit on the sofa and watch. I was helped to the sofa by the Heston family's housekeeper, still in a daze. The moment Arthur's eyes met mine, he gave a slight curve of his lips, signaling me not to worry. It seemed he was used to kneeling. He could probably handle it, but I had overestimated him. Because the next second, he said, Grandpa, Emma is sitting. Can I not kneel anymore? He shouldn't have said anything. As soon as he spoke, his grandfather exploded. The next second, he mercilessly swung his cane, striking Arthur across the back. You little rascal. You have the nerve to talk back. Have you forgotten the family rules? I introduced so many women to you, and you refuse to meet any of them. And what happens? You turn around and sleep with this good girl. What a disgrace to the family. As he scolded, the old man hit even harder. I was shocked by the scene. In this day and age, they still used corporal punishment. Arthur was a powerful figure in the outside world, but at home, he had to kneel obediently and take a beating. I tried to plead for him. Grandpa Heston. Actually, this wasn't Arthur's fault. That time, I had been drinking, and I was the one who. But before I could finish, the old man cut me off. Don't you plead for him. You were drinking. But what about him? If he didn't have improper thoughts, would this have happened? It's clear this little rascal took advantage of you. Just watch me teach him a lesson. The old man was not holding back. After about 10 strikes, I could see blood seeping through Arthur's white shirt. I quickly grabbed the cane. You can't hit him anymore. The old man wouldn't stop, trying to wrestle the cane back. In the scuffle, Arthur, who had been kneeling quietly, suddenly stood up and shielded me. Grandpa, you can hit me, but don't push Emma. She's pregnant. At his words, the old man's hand froze in midair. After a few seconds of confusion, his eyes suddenly lit up. A child? You mean, I'm going to have a great-grandchild? Arthur blinked. You called me back here for a beating, and you didn't know she was pregnant. His grandfather shook his head in confusion. It turned out he had only heard a vague version of the story and didn't know I was carrying Arthur's child. I had come to the Heston estate fully prepared to discuss the child's custody. But after hearing the whole story, the old man simply asked me when Arthur and I were getting married. Me? Sir, isn't that a bit of a quick turnaround? I had to explain. I'm sorry, Grandpa Heston. I don't have any plans to get married right now. Hearing this, the old man paused, then shot Arthur a look of pure disappointment. You little rascal, what are you good for? You haven't even won your wife over yet. He said this without any attempt to be discreet. I awkwardly turned my head away, but then I heard Arthur's voice, laced with a smile, next to my ear. I'm too slow. I'm working on it. I'll try harder. That evening, Grandpa Heston arranged for us to stay at the estate. He deliberately claimed there weren't enough rooms and put me and Arthur in the same bedroom. The old man's intentions were written all over his face. The bedroom had a minimalist black and white decor, clearly Arthur's personal room. Arthur took off his blood-stained shirt and asked me to help him with the ointment. His skin was very fair, making the bruises and cuts stand out starkly. I took the ointment and carefully applied it, my fingertips touching the skin of his back. His skin was a little hot. Arthur suddenly spoke, his voice hoarse. My grandfather is always hoping I'll get married. He can be a bit overeager. Don't mind him. I murmured a soft to show I understood. Old people, always hoping for a house full of descendants. After applying the medicine, I let out a long sigh. I casually scanned the room. Suddenly, a pair of cufflinks on a cabinet caught my eye. Why did they look so familiar? On an impulse, I walked over, picked them up, and was overcome with shock. Arthur, how do you have these cufflinks? Arthur's gaze swept over the cufflinks, then settled on my face. After a few seconds of silence, he lowered his eyes slightly. You gave them to me. I looked at him in disbelief. How is that possible? I sold these cufflinks 8 years ago. Arthur took the cufflinks from me, took a deep breath as if preparing himself, and then began to explain. 8 years ago, a girl with a stall near the university sold these cufflinks to me. They have a total of 6 blue and white diamonds, exquisitely detailed, no less impressive than a high-end designer brand. But she only sold them to me for $800. She said they were her own design, not a famous brand, so they weren't worth much. She was selling them to save up for a new phone for her boyfriend. Halfway through, Arthur looked up and gave a self-deprecating smile. At the time, I thought she was very pretty, just a little naive. I often passed by that street back then and always saw her at her stall, selling her things. If she hadn't had a boyfriend, I would have pursued her. Later, she graduated, and I went abroad. I thought we would never cross paths again, but who knew that a few years later, her work would appear at a global jewelry auction. And then, she came to me with her own jewelry brand. I watched her walk towards me, step by step, and that old spark reignited. For years, my upbringing reminded me that she belonged to someone else, that I absolutely could not disturb her. Until that night, when she stumbled and fell right into my arms. Night had fallen. The lights in the room cast a soft yellow glow. A night breeze slipped through the old mansion's window screens, bringing a gentle coolness. Arthur's voice grew quieter. That night, you kissed me. Emma, tell me, how could I ever let you go again? I listened in a daze. Arthur was already holding my face in his hands, kissing me deeply. Later, I gave birth to a lovely, pink-cheeked daughter. Arthur was always by my side, but I never agreed to his marriage proposals. There was no particular reason. It was just that I didn't want to be trapped in a relationship again. Only those who have been in a cage truly know the value of freedom. Besides, love and marriage have never been the same thing. I didn't dare to jump back into that game so easily. My daughter took my last name. Her name is Zoe. I was with her from her first words to her first day of school. Before I knew it, another 7 years had passed. When people talked about Arthur, they said he had gone from a young, handsome, gay CEO to a golden bachelor. Arthur would clarify time and time again. I'm not gay, and I'm not single. I have a girlfriend. I also have a daughter. My daughter is very beautiful. Grandpa Heston was still hale and hearty and would often tease him with disappointment. Yes, you have a girlfriend and a daughter, but you don't have a wife, and your daughter still calls you uncle. Arthur. Of course. Zoe knew from a young age that Arthur was her father. She was just very attached to me, and every time Arthur came over, he would insist on sleeping with me, clingier than a child. So Zoe would have to be coaxed away by her grandmother. That's why Zoe deliberately called him Uncle Arthur. Uncle Arthur, having been slighted by his daughter, would come to me at night, looking pitiful. He would hold me and kiss me over and over, his tone full of complaint. Emma, you heartless woman. When are you finally going to give me a proper title? He had his hands on my waist. I lazily poked his abs. Depends on your performance tonight, and on my mood tomorrow. Arthur would grumble that I only gave him empty promises. The next second, he would bury his head and kiss me even more fiercely. Later, I heard from a friend that William was dead. After Bella lost the baby, she clung to William, refusing to let go. She threatened him to marry her, to take care of her for the rest of her life. William was long tired of her and refused to give in. He even tried to fire her from the company. Driven to desperation, Bella used her position to leak company secrets to a competitor and also dug up many accounting problems. William was overwhelmed. First, he lost several major deals. Then, his funding chain broke, and the company went bankrupt. He hated Bella. During a heated argument, he lost control and pushed her off a balcony, perhaps feeling that his future was hopeless and his heart was dead. William jumped down after her. I just listened and replied casually, "Oh, is that so?" My heart felt nothing. After so many years, hearing the name William felt like hearing about something from a past life. My friend was still sighing. You know, you two were so good back in school. I still remember William bringing you lunch every day, helping you with your studies. He couldn't be away from you for a single day. Back then, the entire girls' dorm knew how much he loved you. He was such a good person. How did he just rot away so quietly? I listened silently, as if hearing about a stranger. Mommy, Mommy, come play. In the distance, my daughter was waving at me. Arthur was playing frisbee with her and the dog. I quickly hung up, took the frisbee from my daughter's hand, and threw it far. The dog ran freely, and my daughter laughed happily. Arthur looked over at me. In that one glance, his eyes were gentle, and all was right with the world. William's perspective. After they separated, William secretly went to see Emma 3 times. The first time was at the hospital. He was being tormented by Bella and was at his wit's end. That, combined with long-term smoking and drinking, had completely destroyed his health. A stomach ailment landed him in the hospital. When the pain was unbearable, William would unconsciously think of Emma. In the past, after a night of drinking, if he so much as frowned, Emma would worry if he was unwell. If he threw up, her heart would break for him. He had always believed that Emma, who loved him so much, would never leave him. But now, he was suffering from a bleeding stomach, in agony, and even hearing her voice had become a luxury. Emma had long since deleted his number. Thankfully, the chat history was still there. He listened almost pathologically to the old voice messages she had sent him. "Hubby, come pick me up after work. Mwah. Oh, right. Let's find time to see the northern lights in Iceland this year." Okay. William. Mr. William. Happy birthday. No working late tonight. And no complaining about how ugly my cake is. Her presence felt so close, as if she were right beside him. Playful, sweet, angry. He deliberately ignored the later messages, the ones filled with endless arguments. Her crying and questioning if he even loved her anymore. Only after losing her did he realize. It wasn't that he had grown tired of Emma. It was that Emma had become a part of his very bones. Like oxygen, something you don't notice until it's gone. And then you can't survive without it. Later, by a strange twist of fate, he saw Emma in the OB/GYN department of the same hospital. She was there for a prenatal checkup. Arthur was with her the whole time. The big man in a suit was attending to a pregnant woman, personally running around for her. In that moment, it took every ounce of William's strength to stop himself from running to her, repenting, and begging, to avoid disturbing her further. He fled in shame. The second time he saw Emma was 3 years later. His company was in trouble, and he was running around trying to secure funding. Passing by the giant screen in Times Square, he saw her jewelry advertisement. She was a designer with a brilliant mind for both business and art. In those few years, his career had stagnated, while she had left him far, far behind. William saw Emma herself standing under the giant screen, wearing a stunning red dress. It seemed to be some kind of press event. She was posing for photos with reporters. She was so beautiful, and he was a disheveled mess, as if he could never catch up to her again. William watched silently, his eyes turning red. The third time he saw Emma was at an amusement park. The sun was bright that day. Arthur was holding their daughter's hand with one hand and an umbrella for Emma with the other. The three of them were wearing adorable matching family outfits. The little girl was laughing, at first calling Arthur Uncle Arthur. Then, somehow, she suddenly switched and called him Dad. Arthur seemed to freeze, repeatedly asking the girl for confirmation. Zoe, what did you call me? Can you say it a few more times? Quick. The little girl was a bit shy, but with Emma's encouragement, she finally hugged Arthur happily. I called you Dad. Dad, Dad, Dad. What? You don't want to be my dad anymore. You want to stay my Uncle Arthur. For some reason, Arthur looked like he was so happy he was about to cry. And William stood far away in an inconspicuous corner, watching this scene with burning jealousy. By then, his company had already gone bankrupt. Bella was like a cancer, tormenting him to the point where life felt worse than death. He was so jealous. Jealous that Arthur could have Emma. He was filled with even more regret. If he hadn't succumbed to temptation back then, he would be the one holding Emma's hand now. They would have had children, would have worn matching family outfits. If only there were a time machine in the world. He could go back to before he hurt Emma. She would still be his Emma. But it was all just a fantasy. Bella came to bother him again. This time, during their argument, she threw his old phone from the balcony of the high-rise. The phone shattered into pieces. William completely lost it. That phone contained all the old voice messages from Emma. For all these years, he could never bring himself to delete them. On every sleepless, agonizing night, he relied on those sounds, like drinking poison to quench his thirst. But Bella had destroyed it. In that moment, his sanity was completely devoured. He pushed Bella off the balcony. Go to hell, he said to Bella, and to himself. As his body plummeted, the whistling wind rushed past his ears. Emma, if I'm gone, will you think of me sometimes? Never mind. It's better if you forget.